Hi everybody, thank you so much for joining me again. I have got a frog card today. I think it's kind of a masculine card. I'm going with that. Um, it's got a little pop-up on the inside. I made this a while ago, but I thought I would do a video on how I did it because it's not that hard to do and it's such a fun card. And I do think it could be a good masculine card. So it's got that inside sort of triangular pop-up you can see there. And that those two fun little frogs just sitting there, and the one on the outside, he sort of looks like he's trying to climb out of that happy birthday circle. So I made it using Gerda Steiner's Frogs stamp set. And I'm just showing you here that usually I stamp up a whole page, and then when I've got a color combination I like, I just write it down and I leave it inside my envelope that keeps my stamps so I know which markers I want to use. And these are the ones I had chosen for this card today. Now, if you don't want to see this Copic coloring, because I've left this one frog in, jump ahead to about the 5.5 minute mark so you can skip all this Copic coloring. I've left it in. I just find when I started using Copic markers, I watched a lot of different people using them, and I just found it always helped a little bit because everybody does it slightly differently, and I just found that really helped me learn how to use my markers. Not that I'm an expert on it, but everybody comes at it slightly differently. So I just felt it was very helpful to me. So I usually go from dark to light, and I'm sorry my camera is focusing in and out here. But that first color I put down was YG17, and I just put it in where the darkest parts would be, and then followed with YG03. As you can see, this is YG11, and I'm just starting to blend in a little bit into the around the edges of this frog. And you can see how it sort of blends out as you put it on. When I first started, I didn't think I was ever getting anything to blend, but it sometimes it takes a minute or so. It seems to blend within the paper, and as you leave it, it softens out a little more. So I'm just going over everything with this, just scrubbing it in, and you can kind of see how those darker areas have now really lightened up, which is why I go in a second time to darken the shadows and bring them back to life, because it sort of gets flatter as these lighter colors get put on. There's less dimension to the frog. So I always like the inside and the faces to be a lighter color or tone. So I'm just putting, this is the lightest one I've got, this green 20, and just putting that all over this little guy. And then I'm going to go back in again. There's the YG17, and I just go back over where I had originally put these darker colors. And you can see it will start to bring him back. He sort of gets a bit more dimension as the darker colors come back. I was mentioning at the beginning that I also used a few images from the Lucky Duck stamp set. I used the lily pad, the lotus, and the bulrushes, I think. Well, we call them bulrushes in Canada. I think in the States they're called cattails. So I may mess that up a little bit, but I call them a bulrush, so they'll know that's what it is when you hear me say it. So I'm just darkening them up here, and that's the YG03, which is quite a nice lime greeny color. And he's starting to get a little more dimension again, and then just a bit of the YG11 just to soften that out. And you can see how it smooths those lines a bit as it comes in. It seems to have, I don't know if these lighter colors have got more of the colorless blender in them or what that is, but they really seem to blend these darker colors out. I actually think my favorite marker is the 0, the colorless blender, because I always have mistakes and I have to keep going back and cleaning up where I've messed up around the outsides, where I've gone over the lines. So I have that one with a piece of washi tape so I know which one it is. Here I'm just putting in some spots. When I googled the frogs, most of them had spots, so I kind of wanted to put these in. They gave them a little bit more character, so I'm using that green 94 and YG67 just to add a few spotted areas on him. And I tried to make them different sizes, but it's hard to tell that here. Now, this is a black glaze pen I used on his eyes just to darken them up. You could use just a plain black marker really for this because I actually put some glossy accents over the eyes just to give them that a bit more dimension and more like a frog's eye. And then I set all this aside to dry. So it doesn't take that long for it to dry really. So this is the original one, and I wanted to make that same lime green, and I made it out of these two Nuvo Glacier pastes. It gives a really nice shine, this Glacier paste. And I didn't have green. I don't even know if they have a kind of a lime green, so I just mixed the yellow and the blue together. And because I'm very stingy with my supplies, I don't like to waste them. I am drawing a circle around, sort of a donut shape around where my die is going to go. And that's where I put the Glacier paste. So I knew I wasn't wasting a lot of it, and it was going to be enough for the die cutting. So once that was dry, I die cut them out. That center one I stacked, I think I had 3 white ones underneath the green, the lime green one. And I just glued them down. And I'm putting it on the center of my card so that the happy birthday is upright and, well, upside down on the bottom, but upright on top. And then, because I wanted this little frog to look like he was leaping out of there, I trimmed off his hands, his paws, whatever, I don't know what you call frogs' hands, but whatever they are. I trimmed those off, and then I ended up having to trim his chest a little bit so it would fit the curve of that happy birthday. And I really just eyeballed that, so he was just trimming slightly. It didn't take much to cut it down. That happy birthday is a Simon Says stamp die, and it's called the birthday circle. So it's quite a fun one. It actually comes with a little cupcake, so it's a good little die to have. And so I glued him down on the inside, and then I'm going to glue his 2 little hands or flippers. Honestly, I don't know what you call a frog's feet. His hands, his paws. I don't know. If you know, let me know. So I'm just gluing these on, and then I ended up gluing all those circles down. I sort of copied what I had done in the original one, just sort of overlapping them. I ended up having a couple of extras. I had made enough for 4 circles, so didn't need them all. And I'm just showing you here, the one on the left is the one I'd first done. I put the spots on, but I wasn't sure if I liked it with the spots or not. I ended up doing it. Now I don't have any green enamel, so this was my answer. I used my Copic markers that I had already used in coloring the frog, and I just made circles and put glossy accents over them. If you had, green and dots or Nuvo drops or whatever, that would obviously be a whole lot easier. So for the inside, I've made this watercolor card stock I've just painted it with a bit of blue and greens that I had in my palette. And I wanted to make it look more watery. So this is a stencil from the Crafter's Workshop. It's called Mini Sea Bubbles. And I just used some faded jeans to stencil it over. And I'm freestyle cutting out a pond looking edge there. That will go at the bottom. Or on the front side of the card, really. Now, since I made this original one, I have bought this Paper Roses Cattails and Grass border die. I just got it, actually, and I really wanted to use it. So I was trying to figure out, how wide it would be. I ended up having to cut the right with a little bit of a grassy border. That original one, I'm not sure what the die was I used, but any grassy border would work. And you can see for the back one, you're going to cut, it's going to be the wrong side of the die cut that shows, and that would be the side I would color up. So here I'm creasing each of these die cuts at 1/4 inch from the left, and that's going to be the fold line. So you'll crease those, and you can see that I've colored up the wrong side of this one because it's the back. They have to line up so you can glue the fronts together. So I'm creasing them both, and then you need to put a thin strip. I use double-sided adhesive tape. You could glue them, I suppose, but I felt like this tape was so much easier than having messy glue. So I just use this double-sided adhesive. And now that everything's colored up and ready and cut, it's just going to be a matter of putting it all together on the inside. So I wanted to figure out where the water was going to go first. So I'm sort of positioning that in the right spot, which will be about 1/4 inch away because that's how big the fold is. And I'm just using my tape runner to glue this down on the inside. And then I trimmed off those excess edges. I find it's easier to stamp the sentiment before you put this triangular bulrush edges together. So that's my next step. And I'm using this MFT Yay for You stamp set because I love that yay, yippee, hooray, it's your day. So I've stamped that on the inside. And I'm now putting some double-sided adhesive on this frog's leg and a little strip of scrap acetate so that he can be leaping out from behind those bulrushes with joy because it's somebody else's birthday, not his. And so I'm just kind of figuring out the angle to have him so that he's clearing the bulrushes. And I'm going to put some more double-sided adhesive right there, and that's where I will attach that. So just removing the the backing on that tape and sticking him down kind of at an angle so he's leaping sort of almost sideways. And I had to trim the bottom of that acetate to clear the fold line. And then I wanted to put, just to make it a bit more secure, I put a little bit of glue on the grass that was going to be attaching to the acetate itself. So once he was down, I put this other frog on. And I didn't want to put glue in the back of the frog because you don't want these two pieces of grass sticking at the bottom. So I'm just gluing this guy to the grass itself so that he won't be gluey at the back of him. And then I realized I should put some along the bottom. So that's this little guy, and just make sure he doesn't go below that fold. And then it's time to glue these two pieces together. So with these pop-up fold cards, you only want to be gluing the top of the card. So I'm just gluing the bulrushes at the top, and then I realized actually that I could glue the two on the sides as well, just to make sure they adhered together. So there I'm sticking a bit more glue down there and also on the right-hand side. So it's only glued at the top, and that allows you to have that triangular pop-up opening basically at the bottom. So it's not glued all the way down. And it's really a matter of just eyeballing it and seeing how much you need to glue. I find it easier if the grass blades are stuck together at the top. So all the top pieces of grass I've got glue on. And I'm just making sure that those are really stuck down well. And then all I have left is the other cattail that goes in there, and that's from the Lucky Duck series. And that lotus also from the Lucky Duck. So those are attached. And now to finish off this card, it's so easy. You take the backing off the adhesive on the back, and I'm lining that up with the fold line, the crease. Pushing it down, and then all you do is take this backing off this front strip of adhesive, fold the card over, and you are done. That's the card. So easy to do, you guys, but such a wow factor when you open that up. And I think that's a masculine card. The men of my life all know they're going to get some cuteness factor in their cards. So that's the first one, and it's just a grassy border with a few more of the cattails or bulrushes from the Lucky Duck series. And this is the one with the paper roses die, the new one. So I hope you guys will give this a try because truly it's a really fun little card. Those frogs are just so adorable. And I really thought it was a nice, easy one to do. So thank you guys so much for joining me. I hope to see you again next time. Have a great day.